but my choices don't have the same influence on my desires, on what I'm doing. My choices can come out of reactions. So I succeeded or I didn't succeed. I got what I wanted or I didn't. And depending on where my values are, it then affects my midheaven, my Neptune, and my sun in Libra. So I'm a sun in Libra. So normally, okay, I'm this sweet Libra sun, my shy, sensitive Cancer moon, my very shy, self-critical Virgo ascendant. And if that's all it was, that would be. But my Mars is so strong. I've had so many. I have a very intense side. So I have those sensitivities, but they don't. Most people run into my Mars, and there's more challenges, and they don't see me as shy. They see me more intimidating, and I see them as more intimidating. I guess it's growing up not being wanted and being abused and beat up at home and beat up at schools. Like I grew up in a violent post-war scenario. So this is the rulership tree. So when you're seeing the whole, everyone will have their own branch out. It's really interesting to follow it. It's like a meditation to see how this comes. You're not trying to judge it exactly, but you're seeing, I can see how the moon and the need for security, to eat well, to live well, to feel secure, that's really important. So part of my life when I was younger, I lived in everyone else's house and people took care of me. Moon 11th in Cancer. Then when I got my own place, everyone was coming and staying in my place. It balanced around from that. I always feel secure around that. But the Mars is the powerful element in my chart. And so a lot of people will take rulerships if my sun's in Libra in the second house and my Venus is down in the fourth house in Sag. Therefore, my Venus is going to be rule this way, and that's how it's going to affect my sun and my goals and my confidence. And it's partly true. I don't try to concentrate on that. It's enough. We've gone through all the categories of how each planet is supposed to work, and we've looked at the rulership from on our first 3-4 levels in the interpretation. But really, you want to keep the planets as angels. If I'm a Libra, I want to have the right values for my heart to work right. But if I'm not practicing what I preach, I have to be doing things like that comes out as a predominant factor. So we've got, how are we doing for time? Yeah, okay, good. We got a bunch of charts to go through. So we're going to go through this on each person's, and it's not so much a definition, it's just a statement, and you have to explore and see how this works for yourself. But you know that the ruling planet is going to rule its sign and everything in it. And every planet that rules something is going to be ruling the things in its sign. So this is the rulership tree, and like they don't, I mean, my sun sees the Venus and what I want. What about my Saturn sees my sun and trying to live up to what I got, my confidence. My Pluto is there too. But really what I'm doing is on a whole different level, is really determining what's good or bad. So I do things that I run into good or bad. Then my understanding of things mature. I used to, when I was young and I left home, I just was hitchhiking around a couple of years in the 60s. Well, if you have nothing to lose, what's it matter? So I was hitchhiking, I went around North America and stuff, but a lot of times you got nothing to lose. You're just walking along, you're hitchhiking, and somebody gives you a lift or not. And what's the matter? You attract good or bad people, give you a lift, whatever. A couple of times I had really bad people give a lift that were really dangerous. I was lucky to get away from. I could have died. And those were lessons I learned after the fact, or in the middle of it. Okay, so the old stories. Okay, now we're gonna take a second chart. This is July 25th, 63. These are those are the people in the webinar. And we're doing each of them. And this is, okay, we look at the rulerships. This is a Leo, Sun in Leo, ruled by Leo. There's one rulership, the Sun. Venus is in Cancer, Mercury's in Leo, by the Sun, Uranus, Pluto, Moon, and Mars are in Virgo. Now, nothing in Libra, Neptune in Scorpio, Saturn in Aquarius. Oh, that's a rulership. Saturn's ruling Aquarius, and the Jupiter in Aries. So there's two rulers here. You see it? So here we go. We'll put Saturn up one. This person has Saturn. Commitment, responsibilities, being authoritative, that's one thing, but it's not ruling anything else in the chart. It's just standing on its own strongly. not going to be that disturbed. It's on its own. But the sun, the confidence, the goals, the purpose in life, where I'm going to be someone, I'm going to do something, that's going to, that depending how confident one is, it's going to, Mercury's in Leo. So the sun, the confidence affects the mind. The radiance, the love, the heart affects the mind. That can be a really good influence if the heart's in a good place. If it's just the ego, which is the flip side of Leo, it's just the arrogant Leo, that arrogance is going to affect the mind, and the mind's just going to think that that arrogance is okay. That's how it's supposed to be. This is a case of Mercury and the Venus and the sun being in the same sign. It's really hard to separate your heart from your mind when that happens. But it becomes really important. How do you know your heart's in a good place? How do you know you're radiating love? How do you know it's not arrogance? Whoa. How do you know it's not just ego? Well, some of it is, but there's good ego, bad ego. There's a whole spectrum of experiences that can happen around the sun. But my point is, wherever the sun is, or wherever the confidence is, the degree of confidence will determine the confidence of thinking, will affect the way one thinks. So if you're not confident, if you had a failure or something didn't work, or your parents were strong and you didn't live up to it, or maybe you did. Maybe your parents were strong and you lived up to it, and that determined your attitude and the way you're thinking. And if it would as soon as it would diminish, you'd feel really serious, really depressed, and that lack of confidence would affect the way you think. And the way, if it affects what you think, it's going to affect how you act and what you do, and it's going to affect all the other things. So with this chart, it's very simple. Leo has to be the Leo, has to shine nobly. If it's not noble or less than noble, so are the thoughts going to be less than noble. If the thoughts are less than noble, so would the moon. So the Mercury, it rules Venus, Neptune, Moon, Mars, all in Virgo, and what's in Gemini, the ascendant. So it has the 5 points of rulership, the moon. So if you're not thinking right, you're not going to have good habits. If you're not thinking right, you're going to align to wrong excitements or disruptive excitements, or you're going to run into really confrontations of fears with the Pluto. And then the not thinking will give you wrong actions or negative attitude to actions, and which is going to affect on your personality. It's going to show on your face when you're happy or sad. It's going to have a powerful effect, that confidence. Okay, in this process, since the confidence affects the thinking, and then the thinking affects the moods and the memories, what you're remembering, and remembering what you wanted. When I'm getting what I want, I'm going to feel good. It's going to affect my thinking, and I should be confident. But it's really coming from the confidence to the thinking, to the feelings, to the memories. So if I remember, well, I used to be so confident. How come I'm not now when I'm thinking about that? I'm remembering the bad things, difficult things, I'm really unsatisfying things, and it really goes into a negative side. If it's positive, when I'm being positive, people listen to my thoughts. The ideas are going well. It's going to show me how to live my life properly. I'll be making good memories, and I'll really be satisfied with the way I'm living. Whoa. Can't define this. I can just run through it. Every time you run through it, you might see something a little different. You might glimpse at one level or some connection, and you're seeing, wow. But it's useful to have a sense of these priorities, because when you're working with a chart and you're trying to see, this is the power struggle between the family, like you have the planet signs, houses, all that stuff. This is between the rulerships. What's the most predominant rulerships? The confidence, the sun, where you're going in your life. What are you doing? Where are you going? What are you planning to do in a couple of years? Are you working towards it? Are you going against it? Or what's the obstacles? That's the main dialogue. So this person probably worked really hard to be established in a career and holds very steadily in a career, and let everything else in life come secondary to that and align to that. So the Mercury, as we did the moon, the Mercury would affect the actions. You get good, if you're confident, direct your ideas, put it into action, let's go on it. Then you'll expect the understanding and what you can do, which will have an effect on the career. But if the confidence breaks, everything else will start getting, if the confidence is down, if your heart's not noble or you're living ignobly, it's going to have an insidious effect on all these planets. So when you're seeing someone, you could be looking to see how the rulership tree is working right away. It's enough. We got the steps of how to interpret it. That's enough. This is just another thing that's you work with, see someone once or twice, and you want to come back. You just begin to see this pattern more for yourself. It's more useful than anything else. You can use it more than you can teach other people. What it does group things. It gives a certain power struggle, a power struggle or structure in each person's chart. That's very unique to that person. That's very different than mine, with the moon and the Mars. So, but it's a statement where if planets are ruling signs, they have this special power, special energy, and it's supposed to work well. But if it's in a ruling sign and you're using it badly, well, you'll really magnify the bad. So the rulerships are something in our mind. They're supposed to, like the planets are like the heavenly angels, or they're heavenly beings that are moving in the sky. They're setting guidelines for how we're supposed to live. We're supposed to elevate our natures from just being in the material world to align to seeing how the planets are moving and to align to these gods. And maybe we can assist them and work with them so it's not just working against us. And maybe we can get more done. Okay, here's the next chart, July 5th, 1969. Cancer sun. Oh, there's Mercury in Gemini. There's a rulership. There's Venus in Taurus. There's another rulership. Saturn in Taurus. Moon in Aries, ruled by Mars. Mars in Sag, ruled by Jupiter. Neptune in Scorpio, ruled by Mars. Uranus is in Libra. Jupiter and Pluto in the ascendant are in Virgo. Nothing else to do. So we got two rulers, Mercury and Venus, the mind and the emotions.